Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. Definitely jacked up for today's special episode with a very special guest. I know that we've been talking about of a different niche in the note investing class, talking about reverse mortgages. And that's led to a lot of folks asking us about how do you work probate leads or how do you find probate deals for similar types of potential opportunities. So we're very excited. We've got a specialist who just focuses, well, he's also an active real estate investor in a couple of ways, but he has developed a business strictly around probate leads. Who am I talking about? Talking about the head honcho, the chief bottle washer over at US Leads List. That's Micah Nicholes. Michael, how's it going today, bud?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem, man. So, how did you get into this niche of leads that not a lot of people understand or target a lot of the case? I mean, let me rephrase it. They're not targeting that like foreclosure list or stuff like that. It's a little bit more of a niche, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I got started actually not by developing a business. I purchased the business. And so about 4 years ago, the former owners looking to cash in their chips, move on to the beach. That's from what I hear exactly what they did. Sold me the company and I transitioned, took it over, and it was great. They ran a digital business from paper, and so we kind of brought it to the 21st century. And that was our key value out there. But I was already in real estate. It was already kind of integrated with what I was doing. And yeah, basically since then we've just continued to make it better, more data, more accurate data, and yeah, just kind of trying to level up and help people make more money.
Exactly. So you live up in Wisconsin, am I right? Correct?
Yeah.
Southwest Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
Which is always great. I grew up, or not, we grew up in South Texas, but originally from Minnesota. So I understand we both got a little ice in our blood. I'm actually a bigger Green Bay Packers fan than I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. So,
Ooh, that must be tough with the family there.
I live in Texas. I'm a Cowboys fan, so that's tougher. I got to at least pick for somebody that can win a playoff game.
That's fair. Well, we could never finish, so that was the bigger problem.
Yeah, that's so true. But so let's talk about, you define what a probate lead is for our audience that don't know what that is, and we can kind of dive in from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's actually back up just a little bit more, because what I would say our company, what I think we do better than anyone else, is we align death and real estate ownership, right? And so in most people's headspace, they're like, oh, probate. Well, yes, but no. So, really we're trying to align people who, find people who want to sell and target that and make that a smaller, more condensed list so you can have a more effective marketing budget. And so probate is a good place to hit. The problem with probate is that it's 100% public. As soon as they file that paperwork, everyone and their grandma, anyone who has the gumption to go down and look, can get it. What we're doing, it's before probate starts. So we're looking at the actual death. So we grab, obit, we buy government data. We bring in a bunch of different channels of data, and we line up, okay, if this person passed away, do they have ownership of real estate? Those are the two pieces we're connecting. And from there, it kind of falls into four main groups. First one is kind of the probate, but usually it's pre-probate when we kind of are generating our data, right away. And then the other group is surviving spouses, trusts, and then the very last one is interfamily transfers before the death. And those last three never go through probate. That doesn't happen. I know there's exceptions, but for the most part, that doesn't happen at all. And so we're putting all those pieces together, trying to help folks talk to a person in kind of that critical moment when they're like, what am I going to do here? Do I need to move on? Am I going to stay? Basically getting the right message to the right person at the right time.
That totally makes sense. And I can understand. In the previous past, before I dove 100% in the notes, we used to actually target the obituaries and send a letter campaign out to them. And we deal with a lot of grieving spouses or family members that end up with a property that necessarily don't know what to do with it, or they don't have the money to rehab it because it's outdated or it's been vacant for a while. And those have been some of the best properties, not only profit-wise, but also in a lot of cases, you're providing a service, helping a family out in a time of stress, a lot of people are left with properties they don't necessarily want to own, or they're out of state in a lot of cases. So it gives an opportunity to provide somebody with cash that they need in a timely fashion, and also a win for us as an investor.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, I do other marketing channels in my real estate investment, but for me, my biggest deals are the ones that I'm generating through kind of the probate. They're, have the largest margins, but a lot of times I have to work the hardest to get them. There's more things to go through, more logistics, if there's probate involved. But, the biggest one a lot of times is actually just emotions. It's like connecting with these people, hearing what they actually need, and then solving all of those problems.
Yeah. Can you define the probate, what it means to go through probate and kind of the time frame for that? I know it's a little bit different, but can you share kind of a ballpark figure for folks?
Yeah, well, I mean, very much depends on state to state. Probate
Right.
laws, literally in every state, they have their own nuance, they have their own timelines, they have their own, logistics, things you can do in one state you can't do in another. But in general, it takes, if someone's quick, they got all their ducks in a row, 3 months. And, for complex probate situations, it literally can go on for years. So it very much depends. And then, too, one of the things that where, it's kind of a hidden gem that a lot of people don't talk about is the stuff that should go through probate but isn't. That's, if you can find someone money who has, legal right to a property and show up and be like, hey, I'm going to help you with this process. I'll find you this money, but, I'm going to be kind of, your guiding light through this process. That's where for me, some of my biggest deals have come from, because that you're delivering so much value in that. They're like, what? I own a house. I legally own a house, but I didn't know. Showing up like that is wonderful for people. Mostly because it's so satisfying in helping them through that process, and you're getting a big win as well.
Now, you mentioned earlier on, before you purchased the company 4 years ago, that it was mostly a paper business, and then you took it to digital. Can you describe kind of what that means, the paper visit? Are people literally physically having to go down to like the county courthouse and pull these lists, or how does that used to work versus what you're doing now?
More and more, I was referring to how these guys ran their business. So they were in their 70s, and they were, we deal in a digital product. It's
Right.
records, and so they were taking paper orders. They're basically, it was more about how they organized their business, and it worked for them. It worked really well, but it didn't work for how I wanted to run my business, and so that was a transformation I was referring to.
Yeah, I've got some friends, some vendors that run businesses that are kind of like that too. They're very
It's great. You got to respect it, but at the same time, it's just it's not very adaptable to kind of moving needs and being able to do business quickly.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Or if they ever want to sell something, they've got to bring it into the 21st century versus just being
Exactly.
on a spreadsheet or Google Doc, right?
Totally.
Now, on let's talk a little about your investing. You've referred to it. What's your kind of focus, your nature? What do you like to focus on for your bigger bang for the bottom line? I mean,
Yeah, it really very much depends. I would say I'm pretty deal agnostic. I don't actually do any notes, so I can't say that fully on this channel with you. But for me, I've got some commercial stuff. I do wholesaling. I do wholetailing, asset classes. I do land. Like I said, I do commercial, multifamily. I've got. So I'm kind of all over the board. I just love real estate. I like being a part of it. I really very much like the hunting aspect of, finding a great deal and then trying to figure out how to monetize it properly. So that's kind of where I sit.
no, it makes sense. And you invest not only in Wisconsin, but what other states are you investing in as well?
I've done so outside of Wisconsin, I'll do wholesales and flips, but I don't, for me, I was doing a lot more last year.
Yeah.
When the market was, just booming, it was easy to make money anywhere. And then kind of when interest rates got higher, it turned into more of a buyer's market. I've settled back into what I'm really familiar with, which is, basically Southwest Wisconsin.
Okay. Now, that's a great thing up there. What are some of the intricacies of investing in Wisconsin up there that maybe most people don't know? Just the cold, or is there anything else up there that people have to watch out for?
Yes, seasonality for sure. I mean, the summer real estate market is way different than the winter real estate market. Um, I just had a property flood. I was just talking about this morning. I had a property, a fixture on a toilet broke, and we had term insurance, and I didn't know. I'm telling you guys, my failure. So we had to take this one on the chin. It's going to be 70K reno that we're just going to have to eat, and also it's sitting on our books this whole time too. So,
Ouch.
um, yeah, watch out for Wisconsin winter. It sucks. Um,
Yeah, the frozen tundra definitely applies in some cases.
Absolutely. But otherwise, I mean, the market here, it's getting more of an even playing field between kind of buyers and sellers, but especially in Madison, it's very robust. I mean, compared to Florida right now, like they are getting hammered. I was just talking to someone in Nevada and in Reno area, and he's like, man, like we're having a hard time moving our flips, and that hasn't been. I just put a property on the market the other day, had a full price accepted offer with no contingencies in 2 days, and
Very
so
nice.
that's been interesting, kind of watching that unfold. And thankfully we've got good employers here, good economy is strong, but it doesn't have that huge, kind of rise in appreciation like some of the coastal areas do, and then also the huge drop. And so,
You've
but
also got a little higher property taxes too, don't you, compared to a lot of other areas?
God, it hurts. Yeah, absolutely. Not great on that side of things. But if that's what you have to trade for some price stability, I guess it's I'll take it for now.
You're right. I'm in Texas. We have a high property taxes as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And it just means you got to be a little smarter on your numbers to make
yeah.
sure that things are taken care of. But it's also too, I like it because if you got somebody who's paying their taxes on a distressed note, that's usually somebody who's investing quite a bit to try and stay in the property, so it can be an advantage. But it's also something you always got to double check on that property, make sure those taxes are paid. Or facing a tax foreclosure is not a good thing in a lot of cases.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no. I mean,
Now,
unless you're the buyer.
yeah, exactly. Amen to that. Exactly. That is the truth there. Now, what other services do you guys do? You guys just focus on probate leads, or you focus on a variety of other services that you offer investors as well too?
So, I mean, we do some just basic data aggregation. We skip trace, but for the most part, like that is our honed in niche that we focus on. So, kind of how the business works is like we, talk to someone about, hey, is your area available? That's, basically the first question. So we only sell each list 3 times in any given county across the nation. If there's 3 people there, we won't sell it to you. We'll put you on a wait list and you can get on when someone leaves. Um, and then every tomorrow actually we basically drop our new list, and so it's like data as a subscription. So you sign up, you get data on the 5th of every month, and then the next month you get data on the 5th, and it's always deduplicated from everything in the past. And so you're getting basically new, fresh, relevant data to market to, call, connect with sellers who want to move their property, and that's kind of the business in a nutshell.
Leads fed to you on the 5th of every month, which is always really nice. And I've got your website pulled up here. It's usleadlist.com. And we'll also put the link in the description there for you guys to track it. Or you'd be able to click on that link and go directly there without having to remember this or do it while you're driving or listening to it. And so you've got what's really your most popular counties across the country? You say 68 sold out counties. Is that predominantly in Texas or like Florida, or is it all across the board?
It's all across the board. Mostly big metros sell out first. Where, I'm actually just hungry for clients because there's a least competition, and I mean, we just don't sell the data, but the data works better. Like some of my best performing counties are, stuff that are outside of the metro in Wisconsin here. And there's no one else marketing out there. I really believe that, well, actually, I'm closing on an 11 unit 2 counties away, and I think it grosses 6K a month, and I'm buying it for 200,000.
Wow.
Like you just can't get deals like that in big metros, and yeah, it's a little bit of a headache, but my return on investment is going to be, that's basically a home run for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I find those deals, is kind of those little small tertiary markets that are just no one's hitting. There's no pressure there. So
Do
you
you
can
do,
pick
do
up.
you see a higher hit rate with more data in like retirement communities, kind of like I think of Williamson County, which is a big Sun City by Del Webb with a lot of retired folks up there, or 55 plus communities in Florida. Is that kind of popular where more stuff comes in or not necessarily?
No, it's spread out. And one thing that, I never really thought that I would know about is just kind of it's really consistent. So like, let's say let's focus on what I know. So Dane County, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Basically every month I get around 120 records. It goes up seasonally. Wintertime, more people pass away. Less people pass away in the summer times. So there's just kind of this wave pattern, and it's relatively consistent. But it follows population. So, just in any given area, a certain amount of people are passing away, and that's, the more people there are, the more leads there are.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I have your website pulled up and I clicked on the Texas counties here, and you've got Comal County, which is down by New Braunfels, is sold out. Galveston County, south of Houston, and Guadalupe County, which is over kind of like New Braunfels, like with it is sold out. But Harris, Travis County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, you know, for Refugio and Oasis County by now Corpus Christi, those are all available, which kind of surprises me. But it actually excites me. I'm very excited right now because some of the kind of like even Travis County or Williamson County here around Central Texas is still available. And you've got a button up here, get your quote. Kind of how do you price this? Is it a per lead that comes on average, or how's that kind of work, Micah?
Yep, yeah. So it's per lead. So, if you go to get your quote there on the top, it'll basically take you to a map, and you can click on, whatever counties you're interested in, and it will give you a number. And so, I'll spare you kind of the multiplication that this thing does for you automatically. But basically, how we charge is it's $1.50 a record if you subscribe, and that it's just an open-ended contract. So you sign up for, let's say Harris County, like you got clicked on there,
Mhm.
and there's 200 leads. You're in for $300 for those records, and we skip trace them. We provide the contact information for the person who passed away, their spouse, if we can find them, and then relatives as well. We grab numbers for them, emails, and then we also look for. That's funny actually. When I purchased the company, sorry, let me digress for just a second. So when
Sure.
I was purchasing the company, the the owners are like, we're halfway through due diligence. I'm pretty, I was already set on buying it, and they're like, Micah, there's this thing. It's called the inside list, and we use it to find our own deals. I was like, okay, well, what's that? They're like, well, we search for people who own more than one property that also passed away. So, basically they're just concentrating the amount of properties that people own, and they're using the same kind of event-based data.
Uh,
And they're like, we've done literally they transferred hundreds of properties, and we're buying at just ridiculous rates because, when you're dealing with investments at that scale and someone passes away and someone has to basically take over, manage those things, it ends up being a big headache. But if you come to that person at the right time and you can buy a portfolio of properties, then there's some really serious negotiating power. So anyway, we search for folks who have more properties other than just their own, and so we'll kind of compile that and aggregate that for you as well.
that's really, really nice. There's a lot of opportunity there, ladies and gentlemen. Is definitely a way for you to get maybe on the inside track for you. Now, on your skip tracing here, what do you guys do with the skip tracing? What's the cost for that, or what's the how does that work for everybody?
Yeah, it's kind of broken out. We basically sell credits for 1,000 skip traces because you don't always know how many hits you're going to get when you grab that data. And so, if you're doing volume, we get down to 6 cents per skip trace record. And how we do it, it's a little bit different. We actually use the same program that I was already talking about. So we find the owner, we find the spouse, if there is one, and we also find relatives, and we skip trace all of those people. And so it's definitely a tier up from what most people are normally doing. Normally, you have to pay whatever, 5 cents for one numbers and no emails. And so we're
Right.
doing a lot of data retrieval for that price.
Yeah, that's really affordable, and with the information there, it's very valuable versus having to hunt and peck to find one thing, and you get the entire data dump in one true skip trace, which is really what people should be looking for, because it's you never know with no numbers and emails being outdated, having multiple sources for info it's one of the most valuable things out there. That's really cool. That's a great price on there. It's definitely a phenomenal thing, and doing it in batches it's definitely, it makes it worth your guys' time too, versus doing the nickel and diming aspect of it. Hey, buy 1,000. It makes it worth everybody's time for it. Plus, if you're, especially in the note business, we're doing skip tracing. It's usually not one lead. It's literally 20, 30, or even 100 leads a lot of times based on the offers we're making. And it comes in really handy. Do you work with any like mortgage companies or other note investors pulling chunks of skip traces for you right now or not?
No, not really. I mean, so most of our clients on the skip tracing side, they are, investors. They're just basically, looking for actual property, not notes specifically. But,
No, that may.
that information can be kind of pulled up, either way. We could do that side of it as well.
Mhm. Now, with your clients, I know you probably got a mixed bag across the board, or do you see kind of one specific style investor, kind of your avatar that works really well with the probate leads?
There's basically three. I mean, so there's just the, standard investor. They're just looking to purchase. Um, and then we've got the kind of investor slash agent hybrid. And so they kind of do both. So they'll retail list stuff, or they'll buy it themselves and flip it. And then we also work with just straight agents as well.
Very nice, very nice. What's your outlook for 2025 and beyond? Where do you think it's going?
Man, it's hard to say. It feels like a bubble right now. But the Fed has so much power to change the whole landscape of things. Tomorrow they could say, "Hey, we're going to drop rates to zero again," and that would turn into just a flurry of contracts where people couldn't afford to buy stuff, and now they can, because really, when it comes down to it, people measure monthly payments. That's how they're kind of doing their finances, and so high price but low interest rate makes for an attractive situation. um I think we're in for a little bit of pain before the Fed steps in. But frankly, it's just hard to tell. It's hard
It
to
totally is.
I wish I had a crystal ball, because uh the leverage of that could be monumental.
Right. Now, you've owned the company for 4 years now. Have you seen an increase in probate leads as we have an aging group that's kind of aging out of that or passing away? You do see an increasing trend in leads coming in?
Yeah, yes, actually. That's uh, very observant of you, actually. We over, yeah, basically the last 4 years, our list has grown. Not a lot, but just kind of in increments, where enough where like we're looking back a couple years and like, this is more than what we were doing before. Um, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Just kind of aging population, the boomers specifically. Um, and Yeah, so we'll see kind of once, if there's an apex in that, and what happens after it. But there's so many assets, from business to notes to real estate, that are going to come for sale just because of that, that boomer generation.
Now, I don't know. Do you see in your leads too more stuff that's got equity or is paid off versus that are encumbered with mortgages? Do you have any visibility to that or not?
No, we track it a little bit. You mentioned reverse mortgages earlier. We see some of that, people kind of funding their retirements that way.
Yep.
But in general, I would say most of this stuff has very high equity.
Very nice.
You would expect.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Any hot pockets of the country that you're seeing more or better deals? Maybe we should save that for off the mic.
Well, it's so funny because like, I've got a guy in North Carolina, he called me the other day. He's like, you know, every year he's like, pretty much you guys are good for a couple 100,000 in profit. The data that you push me, and then I talked to him and he's like, man, it's been quiet. It's been quiet. And all of a sudden I get this call and I've got I just closed and I'm going to make 110,000 on one deal. And it's like, it's funny how real estate's like that. I'm sure it's similar with notes. It's like you get someone who just needs to offload it and you buy this thing for a song, whatever, 30 cents on the dollar. I don't know if that's a real thing, but it must be, right? Yeah, that's what you're hunting for.
Amen to that, brother. I mean, those deals, I mean, we buy a lot of stuff. We used to buy a lot of distressed debt back 10, 15 years ago at, 5, 10 cents of the dollar,
That's
and take a while for it to foreclose if it was in Florida, stuff like that, and it would appreciate up. So you're buying better. Now, we don't see necessarily that, but yeah, there's still a lot of great deals. We got some offers approved at 50 cents on the dollar just the
yeah.
other day. We closed on, we finally sold out a property that it took 2 years to foreclose on, but we bought it at 30 cents on the dollar and made a song on it. And it's that consistency of, like anything, following up in a lot of cases too is some of our better deals and people we followed up for 90 to 120 days. And you probably don't know this, but besides your own investing in the stuff there, how critical is that follow up with probate leads with family members and stuff like that? Should you look at it 30 days or should you plan it on 90 days, or what do you
Uh,
see out there?
it's follow-up's instrumental. Um, I mean, for me, I'm actively scrubbing because it's a moving target. Like,
Right.
I'll get a list and I'll send mail out right away. I market in a couple different channels, but I'll send mail out right away. And people are calling me like, "Hey, you want me to connect you with my agent? We're going live next week." And but other stuff like I'm literally mailing for over 2 years. Um, I used to stop mailing at 2 years, and now I just basically scrub off anything that's MLS active or sold, and I just keep on mailing to it and cold calling is what we also do.
Very nice. That's key there because I know it follow 80% of sales made after the fifth contact. If they got a realtor, okay, great there. Let them handle it. Move on to something that's going to get us a better price, at a better discount for sure than trying to list on the MLS a lot of times.
I mean, I would say, yeah, that's the real magic to any business is follow up. If you've owned a business, you can understand that, people will say something, but, it's hard to get them to take action until they recognize your voice, you're familiar, they know your process, they've got a little bit of a track record. And then all of a sudden, saying that, yes, that it actually is going to move the needle for your business, that doesn't happen until a lot later. And so staying consistent is definitely key to, well, this business, but any business, really.
Right, right. Now, people have poo-pooed on direct mail a lot of times. It still works definitely with,
Works for
uh,
me. I mean, this last year, I did my largest deal ever from, not ever, but I wholesaled the deal. So I assigned it to someone else, but we walked with 250,000 from direct mail in my hometown in Madison, Wisconsin. And so no, it still works. You just got to be consistent.
that's awesome. Well, Micah, we appreciate you coming here on the Note Culture Show and love the service. We look forward to working with you on your services and signing for a county or two to get the ball rolling around here locally. And then also taking you up on using your skip tracing services too out there for you. What's the best way for people to connect with it? Is it going to the website and connecting there and starting that process, or what's the best way?
Yep. Yeah. I think basically just going through the quote process on the website. And then from there, I've got a sales team that can help out. And then ultimately, if you guys convert, you decide this is going to be a great fit for you. We can have kind of a group meeting where I basically go through my whole game plan on how it works, to market to the leads, how to talk to them, how to get the most from the list.
Awesome. So you provide some support to folks besides just giving them the list then, huh?
Yeah, we try, I put my face out there and talk to folks. So no, it's fun. I actually, that's one of my favorite. It's in a couple hours here. I'm going to have that call. So, hopefully I'll see some of your listeners on there.
Very nice. And so you do a weekly call, a monthly call with everybody, or
Weekly.
weekly? That's phenomenal, guys. There's not many sources, lead sources that provide that follow up or that kind of coaching along the way. And that's phenomenal. That's a number you can't put into that per lead aspect of it, but it adds so much value to keep people and hold their hands across while they're working the process. That's awesome, Micah. That's downright awesome.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you having me on here. It's a pleasure, getting to, get some FaceTime with you anyway, but,
Yeah,
thanks so much for having me.
no problem, man. Glad to have you on here. Once again, guys and gals out there, this is something you're looking for, check it out, usleadslist.com. We'll put the link in the description out there. Give it a try. Give it something in check out your county. Check out a county you're investing in. Definitely an opportunity to find some discounted deals well below what people pay in retail. And like I said, the magic is in the follow-up. So go out, take some action, and we'll see you at the top. Hey, real estate investors, this is Scott Carson. I'm known across the country as the note guy, and I've been an active note investor focused primarily on the niche of non-performing notes, distressed mortgage notes on residential commercial properties for almost 20 years now. My company is WeCloseNotes.com. And I know there's a lot of different things when it comes to the note world. Are you buying performing notes? Are you buying owner finance notes? Are you buying institutional debt like I would focus on? Are you buying first, seconds, contract for deeds? There's a lot of questions. And it can be very confusing about what you can or cannot do. So one of the great things that we've hosted for the last couple of years that we do on just about a regular monthly basis is we host our one-day class called Note Weekend. If you go to noteweekend.com, you can register for our free 3.5-hour class. We'll talk to you and share with you how you find, fund, and flip non-performing notes. And yes, you can buy non-performing notes from banks, hedge funds, and a variety of different hard money lenders out there for your own portfolio. No, you don't have to have millions of dollars to dive into the non-performing note game. We've got students that have bought plenty of deals with 25, 30 grand, getting their ball rolling, using their self-directed IRA, who are tired of dealing with toilets, tenants, trash outs, tired of battling contractors and GCs to get properties rehabbed. We all know the market is changing. And while it may not be like 2008, 9, and 10 again, we do see a lot of distressed debt out there on both the residential and the commercial side. So if you're thinking about diving into the note game, becoming a note investor, a lien lord, as you like to say, versus a landlord, or you just want to figure out what it is about the sexy side of real estate in the note space, well, check it out, noteweekend.com. Doesn't cost you anything. We host it live, usually the first or second Saturday of each month. You can go today, register at the website, noteweekend.com, register for the next live class that we host. You'll get sent a replay of the previous class so you can start learning about the note business today. No questions asked, no credit card needed. This is a great way for you to dip your toes in the water and see if it's warm. Because I guarantee going through our one-day class, you want to dive into the deep end and become a note investor. So check it out, noteweekend.com. You can also go to our website, WeCloseNotes.com. Check out our podcast. Check out our #1 YouTube channel. We are here to help support you. Whether you're an experienced investor or you're brand new to investing, Note Weekend is a great place for you to get the ball rolling. People often say we cover more in our 3-hour class than most people cover in their 3-day class. So check it out. Love to have you be part of our Note family, but get signed up today at noteweekend.com. Thanks and have a great day. Hey, real estate investors, my name is Scott Carson. I'm known across the country as the Note Guy. And for over 20 years, I've been an active real estate investor focused on buying distressed real estate, distressed notes, distressed mortgages, and foreclosures, and working with other investors who are either brand new or experienced to put their money to work in amazing deals. And one of the greatest tools of wealth building that we have here in the United States is a self-directed IRA. That's right, a self-directed individual retirement account that you can put to work in buying real estate, in buying notes, or lending money to other real estate investors to make above average returns. And our preferred IRA company is American IRA. Right here, guys, they do an amazing job. Customer service second to none. They're out of North Carolina, and Kyle, Janice, the whole team over there are there to support you and help answer your questions when it comes to your investing needs. Now, if you're leaving a job, you've got a 401k or an IRA from a previous company, you can't use that to buy notes or real estate. Now, yes, you can buy it and be self-directed in the funds of the company, but you don't have the opportunity, if you're with a Schwab or Fidelity, to go put your hard-earned money to work to buy your rental property, to buy a performing note, to buy cash flow, to help you get ahead of your retirement, your kids' education, helping your spouse retire, your parents retire. Self-directed IRAs, like I said, are one of the greatest resources for you to put the power of compound interest to work to help you get to that end goal, what it might be. Maybe it's living more, higher on the hog, or just taking it easy. But if you need a self-directed IRA company, American IRA is the #1 self-directed IRA company with the best customer service, there to help you take advantage of the different loops where you can grow tax-free or to tax-deferred wealth, depending on what you and how you structure it. They can even set up self-directed HSAs, health savings accounts, educational IRAs for your kids, your grandkids, your cousins. All right. SEP IRAs, solo 401ks, besides just your traditional or Roth IRA. Check them out at AmericanIRA.com. Tell them that Scott Carson sent you. You will not be disappointed. You have a wide variety of self-directed IRA companies, but they're not all created equal. If you're looking for great customer service to help answer your questions, to hold your hand through buying a property or buying a note with your IRA, then check it out, AmericanIRA.com. Tell them that Scott sent you, and they'll take good care of you.